Welcome to From Heartache to Healing and Hope with your host, Bernadette Winters Bell, LMSW. This podcast explores the many layers of life through the lens of loss and grief, often with special guests who share their perspectives on this universal yet unique process. These explorations can offer you, the listener, avenues to encourage you to have these conversations with yourself, your family, your community, your world.
Hello, Bernadette Winters Bell here, From Heartache to Healing and Hope. My podcast in this series, same story, different boats. Wait till you see who we're paddling with today. Jim Havenar, and he is the owner and proprietor of a little independent, wonderful bookstore mercantile, the Green Toad. Fascinating how he came to be the owner and what he's done with the business and how he survived and got even better during the pandemic. You're gonna love to hear these stories and come and find out why Jim and I will always love him forever. See you soon, Bernadette Winters Bell, From Heartache to Healing and Hope. See you soon. Hello, I'm Bernadette Winters Bell, your host of the podcast From Heartache to Healing and Hope. And in this series, Same Storms, Different Boats, today we're paddling away at the Green Toad Bookstore. Jim, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I love it. I love the backdrop of the books. It's terrific. So, since you know yourself best of the two of us, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself to my audience?
Hi, I'm Jim Havener. I'm the owner and bookseller here at the Green Toad Bookstore on Main Street in Oneonta.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how long have you been the owner and proprietor of the bookstore?
Well, the store's been around since 2008, and I bought the store about 6.5 years ago.
And what prompted you to do that?
Well, I was always loved books. I used to have an antique restoration business and did that for 30 some years. And I would come to the bookstore when it opened up. I thought it was fabulous that there was an independent bookstore here. When I first came to Oneonta in 1981, there were like 4 bookstores here on Main Street. And so I was very excited when this opened up, and I frequented the store a lot, got to know the previous owner, and I started buying books. A lot of times I couldn't find the books that I wanted here in the store, so I'd special order them. And then I kind of started realizing that the store owner at the time was buying extra copies of the books that I was buying. And one day we were having a conversation and about business. And I'd been in my business for 30 some odd years, the antique restoration business, and it had changed over the 30 some years. And I specialized in conservation of painted surfaces and that, and very little of the work that was coming in, to the antique restoration business was that. I was gluing chairs together, refinishing kitchen tables and that type of thing. And intellectually, it wasn't very interesting anymore. And I kind of ended this conversation with the previous owner of, well, Michelle, I wish I was doing what you're doing, but you beat me to it. And then she called me up about a week later and said, let's have lunch. And from there, she had some changes in her life and wanted to sell the store. And she knew that I love books. And so here I am.
Terrific. Wonderful. Now, were you doing the restoration business in this area or somewhere else?
Yes, I was here in Milford, as the business was where my home's at. Yes.
Terrific. Wow. So you get to do something special. I know that when the bookstore opened, and then next door is Latte Lounge, a coffee shop, and there's a barn door between the two. and I don't know that I've ever seen it closed, actually. So you can go from one to the other. And to me, I was in heaven. Coffee and books, all good. In fact, one time I had when Michelle was the owner, for Hanukkah, brought temple members down, and Michelle had ordered a lot of different books. People came in to buy Hanukkah gifts, and Dave had set something up from the latte lounge with little coffees and drinks and everything. I was in heaven. It was so terrific and so local, so wonderful to be able to do this,
Sure.
And so, I've learned that after World War I, people would see one another and ask how their war had been, because they didn't have methods, obviously, of communication that we have now, and would ask, how has your war been? And so I say to you, Jim, how has your pandemic been?
It's been a long, strange trip, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When it first came, it came very suddenly, and you were shut down. And I have a wonderful staff that works with me, and of course, none of them could be here. I could still operate out of the store, since it was a private ownership. So, after the first, 10 days of, thinking, oh my gosh, my business is ruined. No one will be able to come in and look for books and that type of thing. I said, well, I can sit here and say, woe is I, but let's try to think of what we can do. Immediately, I saw people calling and emailing and saying that they would like to get, certain books, and they were wanting a lot of books. And so I decided to hire my 33-year-old son to start putting my books out online. And people started really responding to that. Not that they hadn't done that before, but just really on a much more personal level than that. Yeah, you felt like that you were providing, and though you always feel like that you're providing a service of getting these books to people, now you had the feeling of that this was a real need, just like going to the grocery store or getting gas in your car in that regard. So I decided to, it's interesting, you kind of experiment, because you're in here by yourself, which is really strange, being in a bookstore and nobody's around. The latte is closed. You're not even smelling the coffee, let alone hearing and seeing the people come in and out. I had an idea a couple years before that to sell gift boxes. A lot of bookstores do that. You want something for your dad for your birthday, or for a anniversary and that. And I'd set up big displays of these. I had these boxes with, shredded material and a nice paper to put around them and that, and set up several displays to kind of show this idea, and nobody bought one, not one single one. They would walk by and see the display and pull out the mug out of the Father's Day, box and that there, and bring it up to the counter. So I says, well, I got all this stuff, all these boxes, and then, I have all this stuff for kids for Easter, and Easter's coming on, it's in 3 weeks. And so I made up a box with lots of cute little bunnies and chickies and nice little books on Peter Rabbit, and put it out on Facebook and Instagram. And it was as if I'd thrown a bomb in a building. It's like the calls and the emails came in. I was kind of like John Belushi there for a while, jumping back and forth, and so I end up selling over 100 of these things.
Wow.
So that, some people wanted to, give something to their relatives, and they couldn't come and see their relatives. And so people were calling in from multiple different states, anywhere from California to Florida. Can you get a box to my granddaughter? And so then I thought, well, I can mail it or, I got a little hybrid car, so why don't we just take it to them? So I would, at 5 o'clock, close up the door and carry out multiple bags of boxes of boxes, gift boxes, and I drove around all over Otsego County and Delaware County, delivering these books. Actually, the night before Easter, I got home about 9 o'clock at night because, you're like Santa Claus.
That's what I was thinking. You're training to be Saint Nick here. You see?
Funny outfit, and so that was really great for business as well.
Mhm.
And another really nice thing happened in delivering these books, our boxes. I one time went just 3 blocks away from the store, beautiful Friday evening. Spring was on, it was warm like it is today, and I went up to a person's house and dropped off the bag of books in the box outside so no one would get the virus, and, rang the doorbell. We waved at each other, through the window. And then when I walked off the stairs, there was a friend, acquaintance, that was sitting on her porch next door, and she asked me what I was doing, and I says, well, I'm the book fairy. I'm delivering book dust, and she says, well, you want to have a martini? Me and my friend here are having a martini. And I says, yeah, sure, that sounds fine. So she made me up a martini, and her and her friend sat at either end of the porch, and I stood at the stairs, and she, was talking to me about business and that. The next day she calls me in the morning and she says, something? She was a retired teacher. She says, I have an idea. I want to see if we can get a book to everybody in the Oneonta school district. And I'm going to offer my stimulus check to get this campaign going. So we started a campaign called Hop on Books. She's done some fundraising, and she had a great email list. She emailed all of the people on her list, and we ended up raising about $8,000. And we brought books to everyone in the Oneonta school districts in that there. So from delivering a little bit of book dust there, many nice things happened in that there. So, and it was really kind of a, feeling that we're all in this together, and we got to help each other out. And that's what it was. And
a feeling in the community to get takeout from a restaurant, go to Green Toad and buy a book. We all, the people I was speaking to, wanted to make sure that we were supporting you,
right,
like you were supporting us, because sometimes we get complacent and we're glad the bookstore is there and other places are there. But if you don't frequent it and spend money there, then the place can't be there forever if you're not really supporting it. And so I love that this was a time that we thought we were more thoughtful about that, all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all became more thoughtful. I think the positive things that came out of it. Also, another really positive thing that came out of it, for the bookstore, is that I fully, all of a sudden, realized how important this place was to people. And it's really heartfelt, is what you mean to people, and that there, and from standing behind the counter, you can get very easily involved in the business of the business. At the same time, it made us slow down. It made us talk to each other. It made us talk to each other besides about books, about our families and about each other, and and how each other are feeling. And it truly slowed us down and made us look inside ourselves and see, what's really important, I think.
Absolutely. And because we couldn't get together with friends like we had and do all of those things, we became aware of how important it was in our life. We knew that we had enjoyed it to go into the bookstore, to go out to dinner, have coffee. But when you don't have it, it really shows the importance of it and how much that we miss it. Absolutely. And we don't live in a place that's terribly fast paced.
Right.
So quickly we learn, wow, where is everybody? Why can't I do this? Yeah. And how long was this thing gonna last?
I know, and it was very interesting walking outside the onto Main Street of Oneonta, and you'd see maybe one or two cars parked on the street. Nobody was walking. It kind of reminded you when you forgot to bring the folding table home on Christmas Eve and you had to come back on Christmas Day and get it. It was,
Nobody there. Right.
it's
Right.
true. And it was a strange, odd feeling. I almost felt like I was in one of my books that are apocalyptic, and the world's come to an end. And I'm the only one left.
But parking was easy to find.
Oh.
Personally, how has the pandemic been for you?
It's been enlightening, I think, and very much so. I've really had an opportunity to I think spend more time looking inward to myself, and that I had some family health issues and stuff like that. And that's kind of went along with that, and that type. What's really important, and that, and to try to. One thing I've noticed here in the store is that I've never been criticized for not wanting to talk to people, but now I really want to talk to people and connect with people, and I think that is because I have a need to really touch people more so than just a superficial sale, collect money, that type of a thing. I wanted, how is your family? How are you doing? And that. Today I saw a really dear friend for many years, and I hadn't seen him for a year, and it's almost kind of like going home to visit at Christmas time, in that regards and that. So I think you kind of realize how important friendships are, and touching base with just complete strangers, how it's important to engage with people.
It's interesting that you say that. I'm often, not surprisingly, talking with everybody, and maybe commenting on someone's shirt or, piece of jewelry. And because if I notice it and I want to share with them that I think that looks nice on you, I think it's a little kindness that we can share.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take anything from us. I actually feel like I get something from it, but maybe the person needed that little bit of kindness.
Yeah.
And my life is better when those are the kinds of things I'm looking for.
Right.
It's I like that a lot. And I know that recently I was wearing one of my masks that has a star on it, all sparkly. And I was in a grocery store and a woman was kind of staring at me, and I smiled at her, and the eyes, you can see them smiling. She smiled back, and then she felt compelled to say, I'm staring at you and smiling because of your mask. I said, I know, it's okay. Any way you look and you smile, I'm good.
Yeah,
she didn't really have to have a reason, but she wasn't terribly comfortable in the situation. And I thought, but that's who we maybe used to be, some of us, like
right.
Go to the grocery store and just look and do what, but now more people are doing what we're talking about and engaging. And, I've said to people in the grocery store, when you meet them, say, for the second or third time going up and down the aisles, I'll say, listen, I'll take the odd number aisles and you take the even, and we'll meet at the end and finish our shopping together. And most people laugh. Every once in a while, there's somebody that goes, no, I'm going to do my own shopping. It's all right. I'm only kidding. But, I don't mean to scare anybody, when you do something like that. which is a cute story I can share between you and I with the audience, is that I had come in recently for a young couple I knew were expecting, and looked on the shelf carefully, didn't find the book I wanted, and came to you and said that I was looking for the book, Love You Forever. And you said, yes, Love You Forever. And we had a little chuckle, and the
Right.
book was ordered. And whatever, a week or so later, I go back in. You said, yes, the book just came in today. And you said, oh, love you forever. And I said, oh, Jim, love you forever. And we're smiling and laughing. And one of the women that works for you happened to come in. It was her time to be at work. And she's looking at you and she's looking at me. And she had no context for the conversation. And she comes around and said, I think trying to help us. She said, would you like that wrapped? And I said, oh, that'd be nice. Here. And then she saw the name of the book. She goes, oh, now I get it. But we'll always greet each other that way now. So that's terrific. Which was interesting. I recently gave the book as a gift. And the mom-to-be said, oh, I love this book. My mother read this to us when we were little, and my husband had never heard of it before. So I got to read it to him. And then she cried, so it's, yeah, that kind of thing that just goes on. And only because I stopped in to buy a book as a little gift, touching all the different kinds of people that are out there. I just love that. So I know in your shop, which can be referred to as a mercantile because you have books for sure, but you have so many other things from local artists. I know you have a lot of other things that you carry, right?
Yes, I do. Since I, been in business for myself and worked with my hands and made things and restored things, I always have, I've always had an affinity. And this was one of my ideas when I came into the store, is that I know so many people that produce, that make things. And I wanted to kind of help feature them, to give them a place to be able to show their wares and add to a feeling that this is a place of community, in that regards. You can buy anything from China, and I do have that in here as well, but I really want to try to open the door to the store and bring in our local flavor, our local talent, our local creativity in that.
I love it. There's hats and pocketbook scarves, jewelry. I know I've bought some Karen Katz pieces out of Cooperstown and others.
Right.
Beautiful. And it is a sense of community. And I've seen people, when we had more tourists than we do now, who would say, they're coming in to shop local stores as they will, and then say, oh, look, this is also from the area, and buy something because it was made in Milford or Oneonta or something. Yeah, which is terrific. And what about local artists? Do you feature them also in the bookstore?
Yes, I do. And a lot of times what I try to do too is I have two nice eyes onto the street, my two front windows, and I really like to feature an individual artist right there in the window, and that, recently we had some really beautiful cutting boards and objects like that, local woodworker in that regards. And so anyway, I really try to show those to people and that, and give them an opportunity to be seen by the community,
I love it. I've been to a book signing. I mean, it wasn't my book at your store. And the parents are local, but she was from California, and it was a lifestyle recipe. And she made a punch, and it was all natural, and it was terrific. The whole thing was terrific. And of course you have chairs that you're so comfortably sitting on. So now we got books and chairs and coffee, like my favorite places. So A man who loves to read, owns a bookstore. What are you reading these days?
Well, I'm usually reading a multiple of things. A new book is The Committed by Viet Thanh Ngan. His first book that came out was The Sympathizer, and it was a debut novel, and he won the Pulitzer. And he's a refugee from Vietnam. I mean, he came to America when he was 4 years old, escaped right after the end of the war there. And it took him a number of years to write this book, but it's kind of interesting seeing his books, and this new book deals with it as well, as being a refugee compared to an immigrant. That idea of immigrants, and of course we've been talking about that a lot in the past 4 years, and of just what that feeling's like, of always kind of being a refugee and always kind of being an immigrant. And what's the differences between those two terms, and what's the similarities between those two terms. It's a very, very very, very great writer that's just come out in that there. And what else am I reading? Oh, there's a new Herman Bell has got a new biography out on the playwright Tom Stoppard. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but his plays are really wonderful. I've only seen one, but he's been around a lot, but he was a refugee from Nazi Germany. His parents went to India. His father died, and then his mother married a British Englishman, and they came to England, and he kind of grew up there. But he's hobnobbing with David Bowie and Mick Jagger, and wrote a lot of these plays. And I think it's an interesting time period to be alive, and she's such a great biographer. She wrote a great biography on Edith Wharton and Virginia Woolf, and that kind of change, really was kind of that really change of not a hagiography, but a biography that dealt with the whole culture and the time period around the person, in that regards. And that,
wow. Amazing. Do you read anything lighter for fun?
No, not really a lot. I always feel like there's so many things out there that I really got to read, and that I come from a history background, so I really read some, really kind of, what I love is a big fat history book. You know what I mean? I got 700 or 800 pages. I'm just like, I'm in. That's
War and Peace, Jim's kind of book.
kind of that there. Yeah.
Well, that's good. We all need to know who we are.
Yeah, that's true. In that regards, and that's kind of the strength of having multiple people here at the store, and that is that I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about poetry. Right. I actually read some poetry now, because I sell poetry, and people are asking me about this or that, and I'm kind of going, oh, I really don't know. I better try to figure out what I'm trying to sell, and
yes,
at least sound somewhat knowledgeable without, not put myself in the position of pretending I know what I'm saying compared to what it is, and that. I don't know. I'm very honest with people sometimes. A lot of times people come in and say, oh, can you find me a good mystery in that? And I go, well, this Tanya French book, The Searchers, is really, really good. I've read one of her books before, but I haven't read this one. But, I'll use what other customers and other, personnel and that there to kind of tell me, what's it about. When we come in, we're always talking about what we're reading, and I learn as much from the rest of the customers and what they're reading and what they think of something, in that regards, and that.
It's so wonderful because, of course, there used to be a lot of bookstores, Barnes and Noble, and such places, and mostly don't exist anymore. Local bookstores are independent, fabulous. Um, and I love that it holds their own against Amazon or other things because it's a place to come. You can special order and get anything. Love you forever, of course. And but it's a place to go to see other um, handmade things. It's a place to talk about your books. So it's a community center that happens to be a bookstore. I mean, that's kind of how I think of your place,
Yeah,
you know. So that
yeah.
makes it special, you know. And now I know you deliver. I mean, that's even better than Amazon.
You're gonna love me forever now, aren't you? You know.
For sure, Jim, for sure. Oh, I can't wait to share this with all of my audience. So, do you have a website I can direct people to for your bookstore?
Oh yes, the Green Toad Bookstore .com, and you can come right in and see what we have. We got some, it shows you what the store is about, and you can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Those sites are very, very active, and enjoy what people say about what the things they see and what they've done, because they really are, you know, include themselves, their opinions and their ideas, those two places.
Terrific. And you're on Main Street in Oneonta. What's the number of the address?
198, right in the middle of Main Street.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Well, Jim, this has been such a pleasure and a delight. I've really enjoyed it. You know, I love to be able to tell success stories and share them with the audience so that they could know. And so, for my audience, what would you say gives you hope for the future?
What gives us hope for the future is that we have all of each other together. We share these books, and we can share ourselves, and we can share our stories, because we are story people.
We certainly are, aren't we? Wonderful. Well, you've been a fabulous guest here on the podcast, From Heartache to Healing and Hope. And today we've paddled along together, Jim and I, in this series, Same Storm, Different Boats. And it's been such a pleasure. So you have my sincere gratitude, Jim.
Thank you, and love you forever.
Love you forever. Take care.